there are all these groups that are called 501c4s now, and they're supposed to be nonprofit general welfare groups. Karl Rove has them, the Koch brothers have them, and they're not supposed to be mainly political. In fact, let me read you from the a story on this from the Huffington Post, and Peter Stone wrote this. Under IRS rules, the primary purpose of 501c4 social welfare groups cannot be political, but must involve educational or issue advocacy. That rule has effectively meant groups have to spend more than 50% of their funds on non-political advocacy. Now, here's the only problem. Nobody's checking. The IRS is out to lunch. They're probably scared of the political ramifications. And so these, what they're called dark money groups, because you don't know who's putting money into them, you don't know where the money is being funneled to, laundered to, and you have no idea if they're mainly spending it on education, which is a joke. Of course they're not. It appears that they're spending a great percentage on political advocacy, which is against the law, but it doesn't matter because nobody's looking into it. Except now. All of a sudden, California is looking into it. Why? There was $11 million spent on 2 ballot measures in the 2012 elections. The ballot measures were on a tax hike here in the state of California, and also curbing union spending on elections. And it appears a lot of outside money poured in. In fact, $11 million poured in from mysterious organizations. Now, according to California law, you must disclose your contributors to state initiatives. It must be publicly disclosed. It is a requirement of California law. So the Fair Political Practices Commission in California is looking into it and asking, where did this $11 million come from? Legally, you have to tell us. And of course, the groups that put the money in are saying, not me, no, don't look at me. In fact, let me break this down for you. So there's an alphabet soup of groups out there, the Small Business Action Committee, Americans for Responsible Leadership, Center to Protect Patient Rights, Americans for Job Security, etc. They're all out there. They all funnel this money around. So it starts with the Small Business Action Committee. And California goes to them and says, okay, where did you get the $11 million? Because you're the ones who spent it. They say, oh, we got it from Americans for Responsible Leadership. Okay, so the authorities go and say, okay, Americans for Responsible Leadership, where did you get it from? They say, oh, we got it from Americans for Job Security. Okay, good, that's fine. All right, so for God's sake, where Americans for Job Security, who actually gave you the money? They say, oh, no, not us. We got it from Center to Protect Patient Rights. Now, but wait a minute. Center to Protect Patient Rights? What does that have to do with unions in California or a tax hike? What does that have to do with patients at all? We'll get back to that. When they ask Center to Protect Patient Rights, hey, where did you give the money and where did it go? They say, oh yeah, Americans for Responsible Leadership. If it looks like money laundering and it talks like money laundering, there's some chance it's money laundering. Now, this is on a political level. It's not for the direct profit of somebody who's trying to clean up that money. But in a political sense, that's exactly what's happening. They don't want to disclose their donors, because if you found out that it's the incredibly rich who want to prevent tax hikes on the rich, you might get a little annoyed by that, right? They don't want you to know. If it turns out it's wealthy business interests who are trying to kill the unions, you might not like that. That's why they don't want you to know. Now, if they didn't mind you knowing, you think they would have funneled it through 4 different entities? No, they mind you knowing. And they also might have broken the law in California, so they certainly don't want you to know who broke the law. So when asked about this, first of all, to give you a sense of, let's go to this, I'll get to their statements in a second, but let's go back to the Center to Protect Patient Rights. Again, what are they doing involved in this? I don't know. They're a Koch brothers group, and they were set up to defeat what they call Obamacare. And that's why they pretended to be in favor of patient rights. Now, the reality is they don't give a damn about patient rights. They want to defeat every single thing that Obama was doing, and then they use that as a front group, that nonprofit general welfare group, to run political ads in places like California, likely Montana. Montana's also investigating on a different issue, and all across the country for all these things they hate. They hate the unions. They spend money to try to kill them. They hate tax hikes. They hate regulations. They want to be able to pollute. They spend all that money for patient rights. What a joke, right? So in 2010, by the way, that same group sent money to 24 dark money outfits. American Future Fund, Americans for Tax Reform, Americans for Job Security, and look at all the Orwellian names. Like Americans for Job Security. Those are the guys who are fighting job creation initiatives. The exact opposite of what their name seems to indicate. Unbelievable, right? So when asked about this, well, Rob Tappan, a spokesman for Koch Industries, because Koch is connected to the Center to Protect Patient Rights. Rob Tappan, a spokesman for Koch Industries, said the energy conglomerate controlled by the billionaire brothers stated that the Kochs were not involved with the issue in any way, shape, or form, referring to the initiative that would have curbed union spending. Now, you always got to watch how they frame the language. In this case, they said, the Koch brothers weren't involved. They didn't know about it. No, 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 no. If you come to arrest anybody, it definitely wouldn't be the Koch brothers. They didn't say it wasn't the Koch brothers' money. They didn't say it wasn't the Koch brothers' group. They just said the Koch brothers weren't involved. And how in the world are you going to prove that they're the one who actually gave the orders? Well, you'll have a hell of a time. So this is them saying, wasn't us, man. And then I love this part. Asked whether the Koch brothers, the company, or any of its consultants had any role in fighting the fight against the tax hike initiative, Tappan did not respond. So when you say, could it have been the company? Could it have been your consultants? No comment. In other words, it was them. Now, do you really think, even if you're a conservative or a Republican, that the Koch brothers should be able to break the law here in terms of spending most of this money? And if they didn't, open up your books. I'd love to show it, and I'd say, all right, no problem at all. But of course, they're hiding their books religiously, right? In spending more than 50% on political activities and going and trying to purchase elections all across the country that have nothing to do with them. And the reality is, of course, they think it has everything to do with them because they want to protect their own interests in terms of regulation, fighting against unions, and keeping their precious, precious money. You know that the Koch brothers made, on average for a 40-hour work week, $3 million an hour last year. $3 million an hour. But apparently it wasn't enough for them. So they go around trying to buy our elections throughout the country. If you think that makes sense, you got another thought coming to you. That's not how democracy is supposed to work. We've got to put an end to this.